gents, has now switched gears and focus on the top four race. There's going to be a really mad scramble for Champions League qualification. I think we can all agree that Arsenal, Man City are in. They'll be 1 and 2 in whatever order they are. But those third and fourth spots now really open. I mean, given the poor results for Liverpool, Spurs, even Man United have had a few dodgy results before the international break. It really is all up in the air. So who are the favourites to finish third and fourth? Because both of your teams are in the mix. I'm looking at you guys. And Nick, I mean, do we expect kind of the heavyweights that I mentioned there, Liverpool, Spurs, and Man United, to kind of kick on? Or can we see someone like Newcastle, your beloved team, or even somebody else come in and nick those third and fourth spots late in the season?
So here's the thing.
All right.
Newcastle is not deep right now. They're not where they're going to be in a couple of years. I don't know that it'll be as fun in a couple of years. But if Isak, Sven Botman, Bruno stay healthy, and Kieran Trippier, which is obviously, that's 4 guys for the rest of the season, Newcastle will make the top 4. They play really attractive soccer. It's really fun to watch. Bruno was linked the other day on our Man City transfer news post with Man City, and I didn't even blink. I go, well, of course he is. He is a Man City or Arsenal or type player. They have these players now. It's been very smart recruitment. Boatman, except for a big mistake a couple of days ago, has been absolutely wonderful. And so I don't think they have the depth, but I look at them and there's a little bit of not realizing they should be there too. This is a powerful thing. We've seen it with Arsenal. We saw it with Leicester a few years ago. There have been a few times we saw it with Tottenham, to be honest with you, not realizing that maybe they're a little young or they shouldn't quite be here yet. I think Newcastle's there. And when you look at Manchester United, by the way, the Europa League is going to be about as fun as it's ever been moving forward. And Man United has a heck of a path to worry about there. And Tottenham, listen, I would have told you, Tottenham, I still think there's a chance that Antonio Conte walks out of the building with third or fourth place, flipping the bird both ways, to be honest with you. But just because of Harry Kane, to be honest with you. But right now, if you made me pick, it's between Newcastle, Tottenham, and Man United. And Newcastle, at the very moment of the 3, probably has the clearest. Yeah, just go do your Premier League business and you're in.
Yeah, Andy, that's a good point, right? The pressure, if it's off at this point of the season, I mean, Newcastle are just, kind of playing with house money, right? No one really expects them to be in this situation. It's so tight there when we look at the table and how many points separates them. There's Man United on 50 points, Tottenham on 49, Newcastle on 47, and obviously Liverpool have dropped off and they're on 42. The same number of points that Brighton and Brentford find themselves on as well. So we can't discount those teams. What do you think? Can one of those teams sneak in there, like Nick mentioned? Can Brighton or Brentford come from nowhere? Because they've got games in hand over some of the big boys as well. So can't write those teams off either.
Yeah, I agree with most of what Nick says there about Newcastle, but I also look and then see 2 wins in their last 7, 3 wins in their last 10 in the Premier League, and that their margin for error, we have to remember now, looking back, was quite large at one point in the season to finish in the top 4. They had a lot of space between themselves and Spurs when Spurs were, I guess you could say at their worst. I would argue that giving up a couple goals in the last 10 or 15 minutes against Southampton on the weekend is maybe Spurs at their worst. And so they're not in a particularly great moment at this point either. And so it really is going to be about, I think, who can get their feet under them the quickest when they return from the international break, because that's going to generate a little bit of momentum for someone. And for 2 teams that I think could really use it, Newcastle, for the fact that they don't create a ton of scoring chances and they have to put the ones away that they do. And for Spurs, just for, I don't know, any kind of stability at the club, I think could go a really, really long way, because Nick's right. Harry Kane's having a truly incredible season, and it's only being ignored because Haaland is doing what he's doing, because Arsenal are probably going to go on and win the title, and so it's a second or third or fourth or fifth tier story in the Premier League this season, but he's over 20 goals again already this season. But the fact remains, he can't keep the defense from conceding those late goals and giving up points that they should not be giving up to a team like Southampton. All due respect, Joe. And the Antonio Conte thing just continues to hang over everybody's head. I imagine it will be resolved by the end of the international break. And then is it Ryan Mason, who I jokingly, a couple weeks ago, Joe, I jokingly said, well, maybe Ryan Mason finishes Brian Mason might actually finish the season this season before Pochettino maybe comes back in the summer. So I don't know. It is going to be an incredibly fun race to the finish line for top four, with the wild card of what are Liverpool going to give you on a game-to-game basis, on a half-to-half basis? What are they going to give and put into this race as well? It's going to be a lot of fun.
Is there, on Newcastle quick, I think the League Cup, getting to the League Cup final really distracted them, and Eddie Howe said that, the ability to try and win a major trophy. I think now they're kind of back on track, and they're more like the Newcastle we saw before the World Cup break and before all that. So I have a lot of faith in them as well, because defensively, as long as they can be organised, yes, they're not scoring freely, but they're scoring again, and that was a problem for them for a while. So, yeah, Nick, great points on Newcastle. But on Tottenham and Liverpool, I don't know. I don't think the consistency is there. So actually, while we're talking, I was ready to say that Tottenham are going to get it done because of Kane and almost in spite of Antonio Conte, whatever happens on that situation. But Man United, right? We're all agreeing that Man United have got third place locked up. I mean,
I think they've got a top four place locked up.
Yeah, the Casemiro suspension is a really, really big loss for them.
And Europa League, and they're still in the FA Cup, and they have to rotate around a bit. So, all right, so we're going with, it sounds like the consensus is Man United and Newcastle will be the two teams to get there. Nick, is that what you're saying?
I'd still pick Tottenham, but that's me being very scared. This is the very scared guy. It's going to come down to stubbornness. For a while, Jurgen Klopp tried to play a high school senior class at midfield, like with every once in a while, like throwing James Milner and Jordan Henderson in there to be the hall monitor. Like that was what he was doing for a while. That is hope. If that's gone, they'll be better. Antonio Conte with Richarlison, we know how that's gone, but still, I think a really weird situation. And then Newcastle, Eddie Howe just playing his Bournemouth guys because he likes them instead of the guy they like. Just putting Isak in. Wilson has been slow for like 2 months since the World Cup. And once these guys get over their stubbornness, if they put their best lineups out there, then I do think it could be Man United and Tottenham. I just, that's where I'm at.
Andy, who are you going with?
Yeah, I want to say Liverpool are really, really in it, but then I look and see they return from the international break with City, Chelsea, Arsenal in a row. Good luck. And so I do think it is probably down at this point to Spurs and Newcastle. And even though Newcastle have, 2 games in hand at this point, I look at the remaining fixtures, and not that that means anything for Spurs, because, again, what they did against 20th place Southampton on the weekend, but they have a significantly easier path. It's just United and Liverpool, whereas Newcastle have to, I think 3 or 4 of the big sides still to come as well. I guess you have to count Newcastle in there among the big sides that Tottenham have to face as well, because it's head-to-head. But
April 22nd, that game between the two teams probably makes the difference.
Yeah, I think it comes down to a point or two on the final day of the season, and I guess, I don't know, I'll manifest Tottenham being in the Champions League once again next season.
I'm going to go
because they so do not deserve it. By the way, on the whole of this season, what this season was supposed to be, what they did in the transfer window, the manager that they had in place, they do not deserve any of it. And Newcastle, you could say, well, Eddie Howe, what he's done with the squad that he's got, they deserve it. But, that doesn't always mean anything.
True. Tottenham were pretty good to start with the season, but then, I'm just going to throw Brighton in there. I'm looking at the games they have in hand. If they win the 3 games they have in hand over Tottenham, then they are in 4th place. And looking at their schedule, yes, it's a bit tougher, but they have to play Newcastle, Man United, and Tottenham. So if they can get up and take points and beat those teams around them, then, again, that's another team like we're talking about Arsenal in the title race. Nothing's expected of them. Like Newcastle, Brighton aren't meant to be in this position this season. They've had a new manager. He's come in and done exceptional work. And they've got the other thing on them where some of these players, McAllister, Caicedo, might not be around next season, and they are desperate to do something special at Brighton. And actually, then that might keep them at the Amex, right? If they somehow sneak into 4th place, then the Seagulls, that squad could be sticking together, and that would be another great storyline for sure. But head over to Pro Soccer Talk at NBCSports.com for all the latest on the top 4 race. We'll keep you updated with the latest fixtures, results, all the odds about who could finish where. And I think we're going to be talking about this a lot, gents, between now and the rest of the season, just like we are up and down the Premier League, given all of the craziness. But the top 4 race certainly aren't any favourites right now for those 3rd and 4th spots. And it's going to be a lot of fun, even if Andy might not enjoy it as much as the rest of us for Spurs.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. For even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you over there.